Hey everybody, it's Ed O'Keefe. I'm here with, first of all, I don't even know how to properly introduce you, Michael. So I'm going to just give you my best job of
give it a shot. Let's see what happens when you explain Michael.
Well, because I see you in so many lights in the sense that I see you as the high performance, the guy that high performers go to break through to higher levels of high performance. That's one. But I also know that your masterful language abilities is the secret to influence, which you and I both know that happens both individually and to collaborating on sales. And then three, personal transformation for people that are just trying to figure out how to remove the blockages that are sitting in front of them that they don't even know is happening, including myself. So what I always like to say, a friend of mine sent me a book about something totally different. He's like, well, hopefully the people who need it enjoy it. And I was like, well, no, I'm enjoying this. I need this. And so the reason I like doing interviews is that I only do interviews with people I want to talk to.
I like that.
Well, yeah, because,
you're spending time away from your family. Why would you want to waste your time?
Well, and this is what you're doing and the content. I mean, before I jumped onto it, I was like, hey, you have to watch this video by Michael because it relates so much to what we're going through and what we're trying to accomplish in our household. And so anyhow, first of all, I'm so super excited to have you here. Being a NLP background and Ericksonian background and kind of going down the litany of the journey and then watching you just bring so much excitement into my life of just what pulled me to those things that you've taken it to an entirely new level with, is it human interaction?
Technology.
Technology. And so I just want to introduce the world to you. So here we go.
I think that's great. I mean, I could give a storyboard of what I do, or we could just get at it and they pick up some great stuff and they make their lives better. And that's what we can do.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell everybody. So I was, I've been in personal development for so many years, and it's gotten a little stagnant for me in the sense that the rah-rah stuff and the positive thinking it all has its place in context and at times. And then where Michael, I think you've done the next level of stuff, especially right now, is we're going to talk about attention and focus in a time of chaos, because right now we're in it.
Dude, that's good.
But how do we also align our conscious mind with our unconscious mind? And I have a slew of questions, but tell everybody who you are and kind of where your focus is and who you're helping and how you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you hit a lot of it. I mean, I work with you. Anybody who's listening to this right now, anybody who's watching this right now, anybody who really gives a crap about their life, their kids, their family, that knows they could do better in this world. That's who we work with, very open-minded people. It tends to be entrepreneurs, and we work with everything from the guys doing 100 million to billions of dollars in sales to the new girl starting out in real estate or direct sales. We work with everybody, but at the end of the day, we believe that communication is the most underdeveloped and underutilized asset that we have to everything in our life, period. So the reason your kids deal with bullying is the bully has a form of communication that works. Your kids do not know how to be bullied effectively, so it works really well on them. And because of this, communication is such an underdeveloped thing that people have. So even if you want to get a loan out from the bank, your relationship with the banker, it's not about them liking you. It's learning how to communicate in a way with you and others to influence yourself and others to get what you want. So I've spent 25 years ago, I was in Robert Cialdini's class in college, and I failed an influence class in college. I got a D, and Robert Cialdini was my college professor. If you don't know who he is, he wrote the book on influence. Since then, I've joked with him about it. I teach the subject for a living. So you don't have to have been good in the past. I could care less about your past. I could care less what you did 3 weeks ago. I really care what you're going to do moving forward. So we own a building here in Scottsdale called the Human Communications Institute. It used to be a temple and a church. We do events out of the building. We do large events all over the world. You and I met at a very high level mastermind in California. One of the first or second times we ran into each other. And what's interesting about this is that's my backstory. My backstory is I'm obsessed with probably your dreams, your hopes, your desires in your life, maybe even more than you are. And I want you to do better than maybe even you want to do. And when you cross paths with me, I am not looking to be your friend. I'm looking to be an ally, a teammate to help you make it a reality. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot more to it than that, but I'm obsessed with street psychology, like stuff like David Blaine does street magic. I'm obsessed with like what you need on a Tuesday when you're at Six Flags and your kid's having a meltdown so you don't ruin your day. Psychology. You got to get your gardener to do your freaking lawn. You got a birthday party tomorrow and your lawn's a mess. Your wife's mad. Your lawn's a mess. You don't want to do it yourself. How do you get the gardener to come out and do it, or the landscaper? Or you're in the middle of a deal. You're 30 minutes into a deal. You're about to lose the deal. You know you're doing the wrong thing. How do you flip the switch? Turn the deal on. They walk out of there thrilled. You get the price you want. So that's the quick version, buddy.
And I'm going to start with I will throw a big rock into the pond because some people might say, well, that's kind of like surface level stuff, but I want to throw this at you. Some people, including high achievers or myself, have this sense of, I don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know why. I have everything I thought I wanted, but I have a sense of either, especially coming out of this pandemic, right? Like there's this sense of like something's wrong and I'm constantly frustrated and I don't know why, right? Okay. And so I think that would be a fair assessment if I was going to do like a projection, but I'll just speak for myself because I like speaking.
Yeah, let's work on a reality, either you or someone you know. Let's do it real.
Myself, like, it's that feeling of like, hey, I thought I'm 46. I thought I'd be further along than I was. 7 kids, wife and I love each other, but there's always this sense of like, we're not where we're supposed to be yet. We're always rushing to somewhere else. And I know I've seen you talk about it in your workshops. And I think most people can relate to that.
Everyone, if they were honest, Steve Jobs comes back from the dead, he would relate to that.
Yeah. So
you want me to jump on that?
Go for it, man.
It's all in your language. It's everything you just said. So you said, I have everything that I wanted. And the problem with wanted is that most of our lives' plans and current actions were based in the past. So somewhere in our lives, every human being does what I'm about to explain. And I did a training this morning where I broke down how Netflix owns everybody's ass and how Instagram owns you. So instead of getting mad at these companies, start learning from them, because you're like, oh, my kid's on TikTok, my kid's on Instagram. Stop beating the companies up. Start studying. You're boring. You're not exciting. That's why they do Instagram over you. You become exciting. You do what they do. Trust me, you're going to be a better place. I'll get to that in a minute. You might want to write that one down to question. But this is sick. So this is important to understand. Almost every action we take in our lives currently is based on a past desire, not based on a current desire. Certainly, we get off the plane in New York and we say to ourselves, oh my God, I just love pizza when I go to New York. I smell it and I want it. It's not even a current thing. It's a past desire. So the way I explain this in my book, Average Sucks, and the reason I wrote Average Sucks is not because being better than other people. It's about, we all have an average in life and we are never happy with our current life. We are happy with the idea of what we want. So here's the way I could preface this, and I'll draw it for the screen to make it simple, is every one of us has days in our lives where we say 100% never again. I mean, have you ever done that before? You said never again to something? Absolutely. Like, give me an idea of something you said. Like, an example of it is like, I got a couple, but like one is like with a certain business partner, certain behavior, boom. It was like, it went over the threshold of the line from that point on. And usually in that context, it was an integrity thing. So it was like, well, the integrity is never going to be coming back because it blasted past my done. Yeah. So what happens is we get into our lives where we say never again. And this is one thing people don't realize. I call it like the food poisoning syndrome. I remember being at we have a friend named Mike, and his last name starts with a K. And I was at one of his events once. Mike Cannings, I was at his event, and I got food poisoning right before I went on stage. So I got food poisoning. I went out with this guy. He was, there's actually a picture of him right there. He was on Mortal Kombat back in the old days. He's the actual, it's right here, Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, if you remember the movie, the actor, right? My buddy Chris Casmassa. I go to dinner with him. I get food poisoning. I woke up the next morning and I got to be on stage in an hour. Nothing's left in my body. I don't need to explain it. At that moment, I said, I'm never going to eat Thai food ever again. Like that's the thing. So we all get to a point where we say never again. In that moment, our brain writes out this. It says, but what do you want? I just want to feel good. That's all I want. I just want to feel good. Or you say, I'll never have a business partner again. What do I want? I don't want to be bothered by people. So we build these walls in our lives. And this is why we get upset. We don't realize we do it. We say never again. And then we say, here's what I want. You don't actually get it. You just start the process of wanting it. So when I was broke, I didn't want to be broke. I wanted $100,000 a year. I wanted $1 million. I didn't have it, but I wanted it. So then what happened is every time I'd go to dinner, I would basically say to myself, Ed, I would say over and over again, I'd say, you know what? Here's what I want. Here's what I don't want. Here's what I want. Here's what I don't want. And if you think about almost every conversation people have is about what they want and don't want. It's very few people talk about actually getting it. Okay. So what happens is we develop something called an identity. And our identity is a person that got right there. It's our box. Our identity is we have an identity that is, I want this. I don't want this. I want this. I don't want this. I want this. I don't want this. And we do this for years. And then we do a little recruiting and we recruit people into our lives, marriages, relationships, friends, family, shitty business partners, people we shouldn't have, to help us not get what we want, but to stay in the middle of what it is we do, which is our average in our lives. And this is what we do. So people are like, well, why is it hard to find good employees? Well, you identify as a man or woman that wants this, doesn't want this, and you talk about it all the time. So you need the right people to keep you in the middle of what is it you're doing. So this is what most people are dealing with on a regular basis is they have an average way they live. So whenever you get that new car, you get that new house, like, have you ever got a car you always wanted? Have you ever done that?
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
You get a car, the first night you got it, you're super excited. You take the kids for a drive. You go around the neighborhood once, you put it in the garage, you go out one more time to look at it. A couple days later, you step in a little mud because you live somewhere it snows. You get a little mud on the car and they got 39 more freaking payments. It was really nice as a dream of what you wanted, but most people are living the life they wanted, not the life they want based on who they currently are today. Wow. So you're actually just a few days, few weeks, few months behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%.
I can keep going. I love the interaction.
I don't have a good follow up on that because where I wanted to go is that I was going to say like, well, is that why people stay in I've heard you say like, well, it's very easy to change when life sucks.
Yep.
Like when stuff's totally broken.
We always change when life sucks. We don't usually change when we want things.
And so I think where that resonated for me on a lot of levels was, okay, so I have everything I wanted, to use the same language pattern that you already identified. So really part one's going to be, we'll get into changing that. But the framework is like, well, if I'm good and I've attracted this identity of people that are these people around me that support the identity I have, nothing's going to change. I'm going to stay in status quo of whatever that status quo is because it's a reinforcing loop, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so go for it. Keep going.
Yeah. So if I were to step this up a notch, the bottom line is you get pissed off in your life. You realize it's no different than you got a bear chasing you, your endorphins kicking in the body. You're like, I got to change. And you get super focused that you want to change. Like something has got to change. So when the endorphins kick in, and this is the part that Netflix and everything has mastered, they have learned that when they can get your endorphins to kick in, here's what endorphins are. Endorphins are your super focus. They are when a bear is after you, know exactly what to do. You freaking run like a machine. You do whatever you need to do. Like I'm freaking out of here. When we were kids running from the cops and the cops came at a party, we could jump a wall. You never could jump a track, but we could jump a wall to get away from the cops. Because we're 18 years old, 16, we should not be at that party out in the woods. I know you would never be there because you got 7 kids. You would never admit you were there, but you were probably there. But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So what happens is when the endorphins kick in, we get excited about what we want. And what's fascinating about it is that really what we're after is we're after that whole community feel like we're like, okay, well, look at me, I succeeded, I did this. And that is where the other drugs come into our body, whether it's oxytocin or it's dopamine, they surface in our serotonin. And this is the part that people get very, very confused on, because the difference between the oxytocin and the serotonin that happens in our body is the oxytocin is the feeling you get when you feel a connection to other people. The serotonin is the pride that you get that you achieve something. Most of us are settling for a dopamine high to feel good, but really what we want is the pride, which is the serotonin, which is the confidence and the pride. So when you think you want that new car, you attached it to a dopamine rush. So I said on the call today, I said, most of us are living a life of a drug deal done bad. You're the dealer and you're the user, and the deal went bad. You got a bag of dopamine and you really wanted a bag of serotonin, which is the pride and like, look at me, I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
So I'm jumping all over the place, but it's the ADD that gets us to learn.
Knowing that is like, so So the dopamine gives us a glimpse of like feel good, but it's not the long lasting, like, hey, I've accomplished something. I have this so really also too, it sounds like the serotonin of me doing something that I've accomplished that creates pride reinforces a more forward going identity that's a little more reinforcing than, hey, wow, this is a cool video I just saw on my my Facebook feed or my Instagram feed, and I get addicted to like searching because of a past positive experience or something like that.
This is what's twisted. If you get the deal done wrong, I mean, everybody like does drugs has this crazy. I deal with a lot of drug addicts and high functioning drug addicts, like people making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they're addicted to like cocaine, or they're addicted to like, they're not doing Molly on the weekends. And I'm like, dude, you got 2 kids, you have $200 million, you got 7 Ferraris. What the hell are you doing? Right. Well, you know, they get the dopamine rush. And when the dopamine wears off, which is the high of feeling good, it's the slice of pizza, it's the cheesecake, it's the line of cocaine, right? What happens is then the endorphins kick in, the fear kicks in. And this is the reason the serial killer movies are so good, or why there's a really bad scene at the beginning of every movie, why Bambi's mom needs to get killed, because it's like, bam, we kill off mom. Oh my God, what do we do? Super focused. I got to figure this thing out. So what Instagram has figured out is the rush. They figured out the chemical composition. They are selling you, if they knew that you could access the serotonin and the oxytocin, which is the group connection and the feel good, they'd be very pissed off at me right now, because I would be undoing what they do. So they give you the high. Your kids go watch some girl dance on TikTok, right? It feels good. And then a video ends. You're like, oh my God, like that felt good. What if I don't find another video? Then the fear kicks in, the endorphins kick in, the same if a bear's chasing you. And you go back and forth between bear chasing, cheesecake, bear chasing, cheesecake. And then you build a community, and they give you a little bit of oxytocin, which is the same thing you get from being intimate with your wife. You know, a lot of babies come out of oxytocin, right? Or group community, it's tribal. And this causes an issue. So now you get a tribe with random strangers online versus a tribe like you and I are in of winners that want to succeed. So if you could learn which chemicals to use and get your drugs working right, man, it changes everything.
Well, and so this is, I have two follow-ups on that. So like, that's one, why when people like post addicted or like, listen, just so everyone understands, there's not one thing I'm bringing up that I'm not guilty of, or is working on me. So everyone understands that. You know, hey, what is your new Netflix episode? That's me seeking community. Right. Yep. So then we get to share the excitement of, Yellowstone was amazing. And oh my God, can you believe I did that? However, you and I are both athletes. You play hockey.
Yep.
When I go to CrossFit and I'm with my tribe.
Yep.
I don't even care about what the hell's going on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Netflix. I'm fully immersed in my community and building up, as you said, like, I'm motivated, excited. It's hard, and that workout creates serotonin, which then, and also I'm around people. That's why I love CrossFit, by the way. And
now, if you repositioned CrossFit, this is where the overload comes in. This is and if I'm getting too geeked out on science, take me off this.
This is where we want to share stuff that's not being shared elsewhere, Mike.
Yeah, this is 0 places on earth. Like no one is talking about what I'm explaining right now. So I've never seen Yellowstone and know nothing about it, but I go back to like when I got addicted to Sons of Anarchy back in the day, right? When it used to be on HBO once a week, you could not get addicted to the level until you could order the entire series and binge on it. So let me explain what happens. Within those shows, they hire guys like me to figure out how to access the right chemicals inside of your body, which is the endorphins. They create 30 to 40 open loop problems within every 30-minute episode. Open loop problems automatically get you focused like this big, totally big, and have to solve them. Then what they figured out is you could talk to your friends about it. You get the serotonin hit, the pride, because I am in control and I can push next episode. So when they added the next episode, you feel like you're in control. So you are controlling the amount of attention. So you are hijacking the part of your body that was reserved for bear is chasing you, get your attention up, and you're using it on that. So what's happening is this is why at 3:00 in the afternoon, give me a character in Yellowstone that deals with drama. I don't even know what it's about.
Oh, geez. the dude, we'll call her Jill, but it's the daughter of the guy. I'm forgetting her name.
Okay. So Jill, and they do with camera angles and everything else. So Jill's got problems, right? Am I right, Jill?
A lot of problems.
What's that? So in the middle of your day, you're like, I need to know what happens to Jill, because as human beings, we look at the car wreck and then there's like a picture inside your head. This is why I tell my students, I always say, physical books, no Kindles at night before bed for a variety of reasons. A physical tactile book that you can touch and read the words, and a book light, typically a yellow light, is going to be better. Do it for 10 days. Put your phone in airplane mode. You will feel better the next morning. You will have your focus back within 3 days. The reason why is these shows live in our unconscious mind. So like whenever you're dealing with, like when Deborah's mom was dying before she had passed away, dude, I had that in the side of my head. Then I had to do an event, and I got my kid got a problem at school, and I got work, and I got this. I got my own drama. So you are incorporating their drama into your life, and you don't even know these people. The funny thing is they built the shows to do this so they can get your $12 a month. Fast forward to CrossFit. Most people do not look at CrossFit as an opportunity to get better and a challenge to solve. When CrossFit becomes a puzzle to solve, and admittingly there's things you are not good at, and you're in the process of getting better, you are in a tribe of getting better, and it'll replace the need of what you're getting from Yellowstone, which is solving problems that are going to get solved for you. So this is the thing. Like I used to just accept, well, I'm not that fast at hockey. Wait a second. I'm in the process of getting faster. Most grown adults don't say things like that. Now I'm obsessed. I'm watching videos. I got all kinds of equipment to get better. I'm working on, I got a tribe of guys that want to get better in our 40s to get better at this stuff. So what's fascinating is I am taking what they're doing. So if I were to go back to what I do at the beginning, and I'm just going to say it clearly, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, there's good guys and bad guys. Did you watch like Superman and Berserker when you were a kid, like the bad guy Superman? Like, do you remember that character? There was a bad version of Superman, a little different look, same cape, but he was Berserko. Do you know what I'm talking? Like Joker, Batman?
Yeah, a little bit. Back in the cartoon days?
Cartoon days, Metropolis, right? So my friends, I still love them because I love people that do the bad thing, but I still love them. They work for CNN, Fox, NBC, get people's attention, low resistance, increase receptivity. I do the same technique to make people win CrossFit champions. I sponsor high-level professional Spartan racers to wear average sucks gear. These guys beat races in 30 minutes that I can't even do in 2 hours yet, right? They do it in 30 minutes, and I'm pretty quick myself. So the reason I'm saying it is they use the same technique I do to sell you an agenda. I want you to own the agenda.
Yeah, I love it. So okay, great. I love it. Okay, so here's the thing, Michael, like where do we start? Like, where do we start?
So we start by understanding that
on page 3 of notes already. And
you're right. Okay. So here's where you start. You're doing all this. Every one of us are doing all this, and everything starts with communication. Before you go shoot up a school, it's communication. Before you OD on drugs, communication. Before you ask someone to marry you, communication. Before you go to a bar, communication. Before you start a business, communication. We need to recognize that our level of communication gets us the life that we have. All of us need to update how we use the words and actions that we have in our lives, because they are dictating everything that we are doing. And some people look at me, well, Michael, how come you don't have everything? I'm not programming myself to get everything. I am programming myself. That's ridiculous. People watch a video like, I saw someone in your video and I'm confused about your course because their life's not perfect. Dude, no course on earth is making anybody perfect. Last perfect person, they ain't here no more. Does that make sense? So we can get over that one quickly. So language is where we all need to begin. And I do not mean being slick with words. I mean being strategic, how we set things up. So I'm open to any question, dude. You can throw anything at me. This is like a dream of mine. You and I, like at dinner, taking the phone out and going recording and having the talks you and I have at dinner.
Yeah. So language, right? So, I'll tell you one thing, like one of the things that I notice, I'll say to myself, one of the challenges that I have is that I have like these boxes, right? Where like and I have a lone wolf perspective, and I believe, so I'm letting you work on me here on this. Like, I believe that a lot of my patterns that have made me successful were from growing up in a blue collar family. First one to go to college, started a business from scratch, was broke for so many years, right? But I also believe those same some of those same behaviors that worked for me when I was in my 20s, early 30s don't serve me anymore, being 46, married, multiple kids. And that's one. And then number two is I'm
taking notes.
Yeah, I know you are. One thing is I don't understand like too, like on the, I may have seen this like in a disc profile thing that like when anxiety and stress hits me with my personality, I go on the attack. That serves me well in accomplishing things, but it does not serve me well always in my relationships, because if you're in my way, or I feel like you are in my circle, you're in, and if that is a pattern I continue to run, I instead of processing through like, well, maybe this is what's going on, maybe what this is going on, I go right on like attack mode. And so that's something I'm working on. And I'm sure there's other things that I could do better.
Well, let's take, I broke down these into three things. So a couple of years ago, I had an opportunity. My friend Sam said to me, he said, I know you know Sam too. And he said, Sam goes, man, I watched you do like a live, I'm not going to mention who, because they could find it if they want, but I watched you do like a live coaching session with somebody one-on-one. He's like, I couldn't turn away because it was like, you couldn't turn away from a train wreck. Like it was amazing. So
I remember this. You had it, you posted, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. I didn't know if you're comfortable with it, so I didn't bring it up, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So let's visit this right now. So there's a couple things you said in your language. You said, and this is important, and this is not positive thinking, folks. This is programming. So I'm lucky enough that when I was a kid, I'm not really great at programming. I don't do programming, but I had a old IBM PC with an RGB monitor in 1981 in my house. And you guys did not have a computer back then. You know, you did. I know you didn't. I know none of you did. So in 1981, I had a computer because my dad was an aerospace engineer. I understood that whatever you programmed the computer to do with like Logo, Lotus, all that stuff, it did. So when you said, I had a blue collar family, and because of that, that is what's helped me become successful. Got it.
Yeah, the grittiness of it.
Very good. Very dangerous language pattern, the word successful. Successful is what is allowed you to achieve what you've achieved. I would be comfortable with you saying. I am not comfortable with you saying my life path, my backstory has helped me become successful, because successful would be everything you're getting, give or take 5 or 10%. So what average sucks is about is as soon as you put the gamut down and go, got it, I've arrived, I'm successful, you now are going to get what you have, give or take 10 or 15%. The vacations you go on, the relationship with your kids, the intimacy you have. Do not screw around with this, folks. This is not a joke. What you need to say, what I had as a child has allowed me to achieve and succeed to the level that I've achieved to so far. What's amazing is you are putting, without realizing it, an ease mechanism in place. Our unconscious mind wants two things. One, for you to have anything you want. For number two, to take the path of least resistance. And number three, to help you get exactly what it is you say. So if you define your life as successful, congratulations, you get this, give or take 10 or 15%. Give it a little inflation, you get about the same life every time. We are all victims of this. What you need to say is my blue collar lifestyle got me to a point that I could have achieved what it is I've achieved. It's amazing what I'm going to be able to do from here. I fell victim of this as well. So because I saw myself as successful, Tucker Max had to kill me almost. He's like, dude, what's up with you in this book? You speak all over the world. Why can't you get your book done? I had the book written 9,000 times in my head. Here was the problem. A 9-year-old boy was trying to write the book. A 9-year-old boy that thought he wasn't good at school. A 9-year-old boy that had ADD. And I'm going to prove to my wife, and I'm going to prove to, I will take no help at all. I'm going to do this myself. I'm strong. I'm successful because I am strong. And I am successful. I'm just not an author. Here was the problem yet at the point. So it wasn't until I realized what really changed for me. And I was on a show with Brad Costanzo had me on a show. And I looked at Brad. He goes, Michael, how do you like get to the next level? Kind of like what you asked me. And I said, all right, well, let me ask you a question. So what does a guy that broke the mold of how he grew up, that's raised 7 kids, that is athletes for children, has a wife that loves him, correct? Has great friends, runs a podcast, has made millions of dollars, a marketing maven, a guy that's run masterminds. What can that guy do? The problem was my 9-year-old was trying to write the book. So I had to look in the mirror in myself and say, what does a 41-year-old man at the time that's got a beautiful wife, traveled the world, made tens of millions of dollars, travels around the world, has got great kids, plays hockey, owns a building right next to the rink, which is a dream come true. I got a shower in my building. I can do whatever the hell I want. What can that guy do? 3 days later, the book is done because you know what that guy does? He asks for help. I said to my wife, listen, Deborah, the book's 97% done. Can you help me? She goes, I was just waiting for you to ask. My wife's a finisher. That guy asks for help. The 9-year-old tries to do it himself. So what I believe most people have not done is looked in the mirror and says, I am so much farther along than I have been. All the divorces, all the upset, all the chaos, all the things I've achieved, my life today, what can that human do? And most people, they're making a decision from being a 3-year-old, like starting from the beginning, and they're not making it from their current inventory.
Is that where you talk about that? First of all, this is awesome. This is awesome. It wasn't awesome. This is awesome because I can't wait to share this with more people and apply this. And it's so funny because Michael, it's so funny. It's like you and I probably can go through, like, there's something, a project I'm working on now where I have to do some cold reach outs to people, but I do very little because I know I can help them with what we're doing. So it's very easy for me to do it. However, the other thing that a 46-year-old can do is go through my existing Rolodex and ask for help and get intros very, very rapidly, where the 23-year-old didn't have that, right? So that's like a massive leapfrog on that. So I have to catch myself in doing less hard things that actually, no, let me reframe that. I have to catch myself from doing things that would create more resistance for me.
Why you like the resistance? I want to be really clear.
I like
this. Is important. And then I got to get into this why you go and attack thing. I'm not going to lay you off the hook on that because your wife's going to call me later and thank me for this one. Because I know how you go on the attack because I did it for years also. So I play hockey. Games sometimes are 11 o'clock at night. Some people are busy. 7 guys show up. We got 7 guys versus 15. We win all those games. Why? I come back in the locker room. I go, we're all sadistic. We love coming from behind. Oh, yeah, dude, I love it. I feel like a winner. No. You're hacking, again, your endorphins. The reason you like it to be harder than it needs to be is you use it harder than it needs to be to get attention rather than having self-respect for yourself. So you are literally accessing a drug going, make this shit hard. So I have to use the chemical because that is the pattern you have versus going, shit, I'm good at this. I'm just good at this. Like when we in life, like I taught this to my superhuman community, I said, you got to take credit for the good and bad. Like we throw dice and we teach them how to know what the dice is going to be. I've been thrown out of a lot of casinos. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother day. But what's interesting is you got to take credit for doing everything. Like, you know what? I literally just screwed up that conversation with my daughter. I did that. If you realize you're doing it all and you take respect and pride for all of it, you live in this perpetual, I'm in control of everything world. You do not need to go back to the endorphins again unless a bear's coming. So we create chaos for ourselves because the greatest way is to make the eyes open and the ears work. But if we just all regularly, we took, you know what? God, I screwed that up. I did a really good job screwing that up. Or, you know what? Like I like just take credit for it all. I was, just give you an example of this. I bought the building near the ice rink. I got a brand new Escalade. The battery goes out. It's kind of embarrassing when your battery dies in a 6-month-old car. Doesn't matter. I got to be at the rink in 10 minutes with my daughter. We're like, grab the bag. Let's run over to the rink. We're at the rink in 7 minutes, skates on, walk her to the coach. And I could not wait to tell the coach, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know how hard it was. I had to run over here. I should have said, of course it worked out. It always works out. I couldn't wait to tell her the story, how I overcame something instead of accepting, dude, a guy like me, it doesn't matter if I'm 10 minutes behind. Of course I overcome things. Can you see me wanting to tell her, you don't know, the battery died, the drama, the bag's out of the car. We ran over. I'm picking up Maya half the way and I'm walking with her. I had to get the skates on. We had 2 minutes. Folks, we're addicted to the drama. We cannot wait to tell people how hard it was. How about it was easy? Because things are easy for someone like you. That's not positive thinking. There's no need to tell her that story. You don't even need to tell her anything. Just be like, we're here. That's it. It's over. Like, that's it. Do you get why I just told you that?
Yeah.
And if not, the viewers will the second watch through.
Yeah.
So let's go back to this relationship thing, your attack. Tell me about that.
So when things aren't working, or you're experiencing stuff, and
let's talk about you in particular instead of a random person. Let's literally go to scenario A, the most near one you've had where it happened.
Yeah. So very specifically for me, if we're trying to do something.
Who's we?
Partners or people I work with. So it's trying to keep it a little bit confidential there. But and I see okay.
Jim Smith and John Doe. Got it.
Jim Smith and John Doe. And Jim Smith either changes something or is not fulfilling. I go on attack and I start thinking okay, well, what the fuck's going on with Jim Smith that's not allowing him to just either get the shit done, right? So, and then it goes through well, here's 3 things that go in the head. Instead of me taking more of a leadership perspective in that scenario, my brain will go to, all right, well, what's going on here? There's something wrong. And that prevents me from taking more of a direct leadership line perspective. And I get some reward. I mean, I'll say something I get some reward, oh, I'm going to go be my lone wolf again. That's kind of the pattern,
Okay. All right. So you got an identity that you believe that you're the only one that can do it. And that's fine. We're not going to visit that right now, but we all do that. So what happens is there's 2 ways to attack this whole thing. Yeah. Number 1 is you can go attack and do what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. So you need to respect option A is you can do what you're doing because it works and it does produce a result, correct? It does work. It's not what you want to be doing. Number 2 is that was a strategy that you've been using for a long time. So part of it is you attract people into your reality and have lack of expectation conversations with them that they do not get fully, so you can produce your best. Okay. So you need these people to be the way they are. Remember the box?
Yeah.
You want to be not only in control, but you want to produce a successful company that you know how to do. You don't want to do it yourself. So you get people that'll do it half the way. You identify as someone that can solve problems, and you live here in the middle. So you attract people that help you be the lone wolf and make it happen. So whether they'll put up with you or they put up the expectations. So what I would recommend to do is look how genius I am. I literally have set up a model for myself that has developed the ability to attract and recruit incredible people that I can have good conversations with about expectations that will then force me into a role where I become my best. So I've actually recruited people that make me be my best, but I did not recruit people in a way that makes them be their best. Are you getting why I'm going with this?
Yeah. Got it.
So it's kind of like dating someone. They're not lower than you. It's not that, but some people won't really marry the person they should marry because they'll marry someone they can control and dominate versus somebody that can force them to grow. So the reason you do this is they're actually actors in your game. So there's a really great book out there called Games People Play by Eric Bernoff. Are you familiar with it?
No.
So the way the game works is it's very simple. It's a thick book and explains all the games that human beings play. If you want the quick version of the book, it scripts people live. So you attract people that will in some way piss you off. So then you can get mad at them. They can be the victim. You can be the abuser. You can then be the leader. Then you're the savior. And then you're the hero. And then you rebuild the relationship. And you'll do it over and over again because it's a pattern that works for you. I'm not saying you're mean to these people. I'm just saying you're swapping roles in life. Like you might say to me, like you and I are having an adult conversation right now. And then you're like, well, Michael, your computer, you don't have the updated Mac. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, Ed. And I become like a little boy and you become my parent. And I start acting different in front of you and we swap roles. So you have roles that you have with these people. So you take on the role of it's like victim, saver, abuser. Like we have these roles. You understand the concept, right? But this game is angry leader. Like, hey, you want to play a game called Angry Leader? How does it work? Okay, I'm going to give you the expectations. You're going to halfway follow through. I'm going to pretend that I believe that you're going to do it. You're going to halfway follow through. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to get mad, but I still love you. I'm going to go produce it myself. I get to be the hero, right? And then later we all go to dinner and you tell me you can do it different next time. versus playing a different game. Did you get what I just said? It's crazy. Well, and you're like, shit, do we just record this? Other people are going to hear this right now.
No, that's okay. Because I think, it's all positive. I have no problem with people seeing where I need to improve. I think that the biggest, what would you call it? The biggest mistake I can make for people is to pretend that I have everything figured out and that I'm not trying to grow.
You're playing a game called Make Believe. So what you need to say with them is, I got a really cool game we're going to play. I might pretend from time to time that I know everything. I don't. And you might remind me. And you're going to play the game of learning things that I don't know and then showing them to me. Then I might play the game that I'm mad, but I'm not really mad. I'm just bothered that I should have known it already because I've been playing for years the know-it-all game, but I'm not really a know-it-all. I'm just playing the game of a know-it-all.
Yeah. I love it. No one else can relate to that one.
We all do. This is all of us.
Yeah.
Like, I like to be a hero. How do you get to be a hero? You need a few people to save. And if you don't have people to save, we'll go harm some people so we can save them.
Yeah. Well, okay. So switching gears slightly, and I can talk about whatever you want, but I want to talk about I
had no idea we were going to cover that, but go ahead.
Well, I wanted to, because I think your level of skill sets justify bringing up hard topics. And so I was going to bring up stories. I'll get back to that. I did want to bring up coming out of I wanted to bring this up because two reasons. One is you talk a lot about attention and focus. And one of the notes I made before we jumped on was, the ability to steal our focus is a really easy way to subtly steal our lives, right? You also tapped on being exciting and motivating as parents and as leaders or as coaches or whatever. I do want to address that in a second.
Yep.
And since you work with so many people, are there patterns you're seeing now that are different, like now with coming out of lockdowns, masks, fear for 2 years? That is probably patterns you've seen, but now it's just exacerbated that more people, including myself, could relate to in this, that worth discussing and kind of creating a few solutions for.
Yeah, I'm just going to be point blank and tell you what happened the last 2 years of psychological abuse and emotional and mental abuse on people, no matter how you do it, based on the amount of times we talked about it. So not the agenda, not the decisions that were made. I mean, the continuous conversations about it. So in our house, we don't say the P word and the C word. We don't say the P word. You know what that is? We called the last 2 years, and we don't say the C word. There's enough people that are going to say that. It's let them be the ones that say it. We just don't do that in our household. So we cut out those words. You can curse in my house, but you can't say the P word, the C word, or the V word. We just don't use those words because there's enough people talking about that stuff. So first and foremost, we need to stop talking about it, folks. But doesn't mean we can't have a conversation about it. We just need to stop saying the words because they're heavily loaded. Yes, the tremendous amount of fear that was propagated over the last couple of years was massive. It's impacted a lot of people in different ways. If you want to pick a group of people, I'd like to discuss that because it did hit different people different ways. I didn't close my life down at all. Day one, I saw what was going on and I'm like, my building's 7,500 square feet. There's 4 of us. We're not closing. You know what I'm saying? We went to work every day. We did what we were going to do. I had my best year ever in 2020. We figured we're going to help people. I was already virtual for 10 years anyways. I built a studio before Tony Robbins did. I had one in the office, 2 projectors, 4 projectors, 4 screens. We went live March 20th. He didn't do it till April or May. We were immediate. We saw it. We're going to serve everybody. We gave our stuff away for a year and we had one of our best years at doing what we do. I paid for prep school. I paid $25,000 a year to have my daughter in the living room. I didn't let her go back to school with the masks because I didn't want her to have 1 week on, 1 week off. I wanted her to have normality and I wanted her to be in my living room. And so she had a great year. She missed out on a couple of things because the socialization at an 8-9-year-old level was hard through the Zoom, but we had friends over, we did stuff. We jumped in the backyard. We heated the pool. We put a synthetic skating rink in. Easy for you to say, Michael, you're privileged. Listen, I created my own privilege. Do you know what I'm saying? I did that myself. I had nothing 20 years ago and I built this all off of nothing. So to answer your question, do you want to pick a group that we're going to target?
Let's pick a group. So I'll speak just since this is my podcast, I get to be selfish and talk about
do it, baby.
Parents leading, we have 7 kids. So we have a lot of experiments in our household. There's a family of 9 ranging from 17 to 8.
You have any dogs, cats, or fish?
Yeah, 2 dogs that, once we had one and then we were like, oh, we got another one that needs a friend. So it didn't have, So I think a proactive question would be leading us forward and helping creating goal-oriented. I think one of my fears as a parent now is for myself, but also with my kids is, you remember like 20 years ago when you used to be able to sit there with a notepad and like write notes for hours and reading books was normal. And you'd go to like Starbucks and you'd have or somewhere have a coffee and you'd think for 90 minutes at a time. How do we bring some of those behaviorals back while also creating highly motivated, excited kids that are very goal oriented in a time where you're being rewarded for, as you said, technology.
And watching Yellowstone. Yeah.
Yeah. For watching Yellowstone. Yeah. So
okay. So
create a game plan. We have some time left and I
have time and this is great. I always admire like the Joe Rogans of the world. They go on these long tangents and I love it. This is an important conversation.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
This is interesting. So, you really got to decide what you want for your life. I have a very interesting dynamic like you do with how spread out my kids are. I got a 21-year-old, they'll be 21 in 3 weeks, and a 10-year-old. I've already been through this, what social media does to a child, where my 10-year-old just got a little gizmo watch. We broke down, we gave her one because I can't avoid complete electronics. It's the ability to like send a text to certain people and it doesn't even real text. You have to have the app. Everything's tracked. Got it. Whatever. She's not getting Instagram. She knows point blank. We don't do that. So I think a lot of families are very obsessed with the oxytocin of feeling like they're part of a community and they don't want to feel left out. So we build our own little community inside of what we do. So years ago, I started saying to people, and this is interesting. So if you study religion, and I'm not saying you have to be religious to study this, the religions that have dietary restrictions 100% have members that make more money than the rest of the world. You guys go figure out who those groups are, whether it's type of food or no certain drinks or whatever. Business wise, those communities do better because they have limitations around certain biological functions. So I want to go back and I want to explain this. You know who the groups are. You know what I'm talking about. When there's a group of people that there's 15 million of us left, and economically 15 million do better proportionally than the other, it's not just a chosen thing. It's education, way of being is built in differently. So whenever you could create restrictions, minor ones within a household and build it in is what we do. So I don't care if it's vegetarian or like one of the things we do in our house is if you're going to eat pizza, we also eat a salad with it. My daughter's off in college making salads all the time. So we build rules into our household. Yes, we watch movies, but we also talk about them afterwards. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Yes, you can have a device, but it has to be in the living room. So we build these little rules in. The earlier on we do them, typically based on biological functions, like, you know what? We eat Doritos, we do all that stuff, we eat crap, but we're the family that makes certain we do drink water. That is what we do. Soda's not in this house. You can have it outside the house, but we don't have it in the house. It's not bad. We just don't do it here. It starts to build that pride. Remember the serotonin, the pride? So we need to build the pride and the appropriate level of oxytocin into our body. So that's just one little element that we did in our house. Number two is a lot of this comes down tribally. We need to build communities of people that are like-minded. It's a lot of people like, oh, everybody needs to be included. BS. We like who we like. I mean, come on. You can't make someone like somebody because you force them to like somebody. It's just not going to work.
It's actually more animosity, actually, without a doubt,
it's like if you say you're from Chicago, I'm like, oh my God, I've been there. I love Chicago. I've been there a million times. It's my favorite place. Oh, you're from Ohio. My wife's from Youngstown. I love Ohio. Oh, you play hockey. I like you better. I like hockey players better because I like hockey. Let's just get real.
Well, now, what sport do guys agree to fight a minute before the first drop and they just drop it and everyone's like, all right, they're going to go at it. And then, they're off in the penalty box.
And then they grab a beer after the game.
Hey, nice job. We got it over with. Good job.
Yeah, they talk about it. So it's like, we like what we like. So one of the ways is like I'm talking about setting up some rules in your household. Number two is, with my kids, I said, listen, here's the thing. In this house, you're going to play sports. I mean, that's just what you're going to do. You're going to do that. So we're brainwashing our kids like 80s mentality. Like I believe Generation X, this is my belief, was a great generation. We raise our kids the way we used to. The problem is yesterday's rules do not serve your children today. So don't teach them the Generation X rule of always doing the right thing and thinking everyone else is going to do the right thing, because they are not, because they are trained differently. So the way you deal with a bully today and the way you dealt with a bully in 1985 is very different. 85, you break their jaw, you knock out a tooth. Today, you get sued for that. So we've got to teach our kids higher level of communication of what's going on. And we also need to teach them to not make the other people wrong for making different choices. So if kids are on phones at 7 years old, I can't have my daughter telling them they're wrong, you're addicted, all that stuff. We just tell them in our house, we choose to live differently than these people. We're building strong children. So this is part of your conversation. You may have to ask me the question again to get back on track.
Well, yeah, it's good. It's really good. It's good foundational stuff there. So it's so like with just raising kids now in this kind of modern day, I don't even know modern is the right word, where there's such an influx of distraction. How do we get back to saying, hey, just because everyone's freaking addicted to TikTok, Snapchat, and Netflix, it doesn't mean you can't have that. But also, what's the primary aim of our household? Do we need to start teaching our kids younger and younger the success principles that adults that I was fortunate enough to stumble across, because they don't teach this in school, how to set goals, how to talk to yourself, how to feel good, how to create the feelings yourself to feel good, how to handle bad emotions, like, and like, is that something that is going to be the parent responsibility to bring to their kids?
Who else is going to do it if they don't?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Here's the deal. I do hypnosis, right? So what am I going to do? Wait till my kid wants to go to a hypnosis seminar? I'm going to do hypnosis now with my kid. So so the thing is, like, we read Dr. Amen's book, Captain Snout, which is one of the best books you can read with your young kids on about. Oh, really? Have you read it?
No.
It's a kid. How old's your youngest?
They're 7. They'll be 8 in a month.
You perfect timing. So like, kid will say, I can't do it. And the book basically says, is that true all the time, every day, always, and every time? And it talks about the ants, the automatic negative thoughts. So I'm teaching my kids personal development at a young age. And I'm also teaching them reframing. So my daughter goes to school, bully comes up, the bully kid, the kid that's still wearing the mask after everybody is, just to make him wrong. But his masks have been off for a year, and more power to him if he wants to wear it, right? But he likes to break my kid's pencil in half. Maya gets her pencil broken in half. I'm expecting her to cry to me, broke my good pencil. My daughter, who's learned how to be creative, took the pencil back, sharpened both ends, and said, thank you, I now have 2 pencils. So back to the bully for breaking the pencil in half. So we need to teach our kids things are solvable through communication. Yeah. So like, if the only option you give them is Netflix, and you give them that as their drug because we're so busy working, like I always tell everybody, you know what sales is? A real sales call is not putting your kid in front of a TV. A sales call is breaking out arts and crafts and doing it with them, being involved. So you know what that's like, oh, let's draw. And then you're like on your phone. Let's draw is, all right, we're going to go outside. There's nothing else around. We're going to draw. I promise you, if you gave your kids the love and attention, which is the oxytocin, and you gave them the serotonin, they will have intelligent relationships later on. You have to lead by example. So if you're on your phone checking Instagram, you cannot be upset that they are. If your garage is a mess, you got to be very careful. They're watching 24/7. They think you're full of shit. Okay. And they're not going to trust you, respect you. And then they are going to think relationships are based on the same thing.
2 questions. So are we as a society, I guess you can look at it, and I think I'm asking a rhetorical question in some ways, but I want you to go into a little bit, trying to move too fast and do too much? Or what are we looking to do? I don't think we've accomplished the basics. The question is, like, you should have a few things in your life that you're working on. Like in the old days, there was one show you were watching. You and I were watching Family Ties one day a week, maybe Married with Children. We watched a couple of Brady Bunch after school and a little bit of Different Strokes. So did I catch your childhood right there? Somewhere in that realm. A couple hours a week. We are following all these shows, all these things. We've got too much going on and we're moving too quickly. We need to get some of the basics down. The accomplishment we get,
Do you want to get great? Like, you got to ask your kids. Like, my daughter said to me, what happens after the Olympics? I was ready to shut her down. I was ready to go, well, and then I'm like, I looked her in the eyes. I go, book deals and promotions. I said the right thing, right? That's what we're going to do after you make the Olympics. So we've got to like, if we want our kids to do something else, we've got to get involved with them. It's not just about sports. Like, you could look at a kid goes, God, I love the way, man, that guy throws the football. You want to be that good? Let's figure it out. Not, oh, you got to work hard and it's this and that. No. You want that? Let's go figure that out. Yeah. We want to help them pick their obsessions. Okay. Because guess what? The internet is an obsession machine. It's guaranteed. We have to help them pick different ones. And this is why, like, a lot of times people got to bring God and prayer back in the household. I mean, I didn't really have that as much as a kid. We went to services on the weekends. We did what we did. But let me tell you what a prayer is, so all of us know. It's a future pace. It's a future pace to get better. It's asking for intelligence and guidance. So even if you're not into religion, it's grant me the strength and ability to be better tomorrow, and teach your kids how to say that out loud. We do it. Why do we do it over the meals? It's not that we need to pray and be thankful for our food. You got your food. Yeah, we're thankful for it. Yeah, we appreciate that. Great. But more importantly, it sets it in a time of day. Ritualistic behaviors.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so Michael, I know recently you just did a training on psychology of focus.
Yep.
Are you doing a program on that right now, or is that
everything I do is based on focus? So everything that I do, all of my material, every single thing that I do is based on holding people's attention, lowering resistance, increasing receptivity. So what I do is I'd say, come hang with me, watch me for a period of time. You're going to learn a lot of really cool stuff, but more importantly, two things you should do because you're high performing people. Take the material for you, but also watch how I deliver it. My stay on rate on videos, 99%. I did a seminar 8:00 in the morning till 1 in the morning on Zoom for 3 days. Nobody left. It was during the presidential debates. Nobody got off. 1,100 people. I think we lost 12 the whole weekend. It's not hey, Michael's great. It's something I'm doing that you guys could be doing too. So I teach focus indirectly.
Yeah. And being a student of a lot of people for a long time, your teaching style, and you've demonstrated it today, by the way. I'm going to have to rewatch. I
don't want to watch this because I don't know what the hell I said. I was in my zone.
No, when I'm being the one who's associated, it's hard to be on purpose, but it's the breakthroughs are happening from the viewer watching other people process and things. The puzzle stuff, the trying to get what you had in the past because you feel like that's what's going to solve your existing problem. Like you're very good at identifying the patterns and that you've worked with so many people. Where can people learn more about your trainings
two things. I definitely recommend get my book. I mean, you can start there on Amazon or averagesucks.com. I'll give you a little bonus if you get it at averagesucks.com. If you want to work with me, I put together a little bonus for you guys for watching this today. And I'd love to just give it away. If I gave it away, then you don't take it seriously. But if you spend an hour here, I'll give you a big old discount if it's something you want to do. If you want to work with me, I have like a day with me you could do, which is out of most people's price range. But here's a day of working with me spread across 5 days. It's our call to action program. It's how to focus, strategize, get more done in less time. It is way outside the box than what you think. You can go to calltoactionnow.com. It's half price if you want it. It's not for everybody. It's for high performers. It's embarrassing when I tell you it's a few $100. But I say it's embarrassing because I charge $50,000 for 10 hours of my time. You can few $100 and it's live with me. I run it every month. So if you watch this and it intrigued you and you're willing to get your ass kicked a little and have some fun, it is high performing people, calltoactionnow.com. And it'll have an offer afterwards because I'm a marketer. It'll say, do you want my book and a shirt? If you do it, you get a deal on that as well if you want it. But an average sucks because when you wear this, you can't play small if you wear average sucks. But yeah, I'd love to work with you, and it's no joke. It's a gateway into our world. And if you want, if not, just go check YouTube. I got 1,000 videos.
Yeah, and we're gonna sign up, even though we're friends. This is very important for people to understand. Even though we're friends, I probably could ask Michael to give it to me as a discount or give me access. And he would. But we're not going to do that. We're going to invest in it. just like I would for people who want to take it to the next level. Because like, being a leader of my household, it's very, very important for my wife and I. Like we have ripple effects, and our ripple effects come in the form of our kids trying to lead by example, our languaging, our personal development. And also, while we are super positive, the fact is that having someone like Michael explain his tools, these tools that can serve them for the rest of their life, is so much more powerful than dad just talking to them. It's great to have a third party person do that. But it's also great for me and very important for me to keep up leveling. So this has been super inspiring, man. So I'm your first sale today.
Thank you. And it's interesting you bring that up. So you can't ask your kids to be great if you're not willing to be great. And then you got to let them know you're doing it. So here's the deal. Your kids maybe have no interest in you taking this program right now, but they're going to remember. So the biochemistry works like this. You say to name me one of your children that is always at your hip. Like which one of your kids is like always like daddy. What's that?
Well, I'll name Julia because she's my 10-year-old and we're spending a ton of time together.
That's what I'm talking about. We have different times in our life with each of our kids is more like at our hip at that moment, right? So Julia, let's say you're doing volleyball and you're together all the time and whatever it is you're doing. Your kid that's watching you may not today say to you, I want to go sign up for a personal development seminar, but 22 years down the road when they're in college and there's a chance that they can go to a development course, like, oh my God, this makes sense to me. My dad used to do this. How much is it? It's $25. I'll do that. Right. So what's interesting is we have to let our kids know we're doing this stuff. Let them know, have the podcast on in the background, get in the car, pop on a podcast for a few minutes. Let them hear, oh, let me turn this off. Daddy was just working on getting better so we can go to Disneyland again. You want me to put on Meghan Trainor or whatever it is? My daughter loves Meghan Trainor. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you want me to switch over to Katy Perry or whatever it is? We'll do that in a minute. But let your kids know you're doing personal development. So later when it's their turn, they can do it. But there's enough subliminal tapes and audios they can listen to. We listened to The Elephant That Won't Go to Sleep, which is hypnosis, since Maya was 3 days old. It's amazing.
Yeah. And, and also your network, like this is Dominic Cruz.
I like that. I saw that.
Yeah. Dominic's a friend of ours. I had him on the show. And then I got, the kids know, I keep the kids updated on what he's doing, like through Instagram. I'll ping him all.
How's his training going?
He's doing good. He's healthy. Yeah.
Fantastic. Because I know he was working with Jamie, who works with her husband, Eric.
Was Coach Yeah, good friends. I was with them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so Jamie helps us with our events, and Eric is her husband. So it's crazy small. And Joe Rogan says Eric is the most underrated, amazing trainer. Joe Rogan loves Eric.
Dominic talking about leadership there, and I'll go back to that in a second. Is Dominic? First of all, my sister gave me a book when I was 16 years old, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That was the book that woke me up.
She was 20 years older than me. And then coincidentally, when I was in class around that same age, there was a book by Martin Seligman, I want to say it's Psychology of Language or something like that, where he talked about really just, how language affects outcome, right? Yep. There's a beginning intro to me, right?
Yep.
And Think and Grow Rich. And then listening to audio tapes, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a world out here that I've never been exposed to. Not that my parents didn't do a great job, but they weren't exposed to it. So why would you give your kids personal development books and stuff like that?
It's interesting. This thing we just came on to about with our children, let them see you doing it. Yeah. Take them to the churches, take them to whatever your thing is, the churches, the temples, the extracurricular, the Girl Scouts, get them into martial arts, let them watch some stuff, let them see excellence.
Yeah. You
got to get your kids obsessed with excellence, right? I got clients. I have a client that I work with. I helped him with mindset for years. He's a boxer now. He's the number one YouTuber out there. You know who the guy is. You can go put your math together who the guy is.
Yeah.
I helped him with some stuff. He's boxing. He's doing great things since that session we had. You know who I'm talking about. And super sharp guy. And he is now more of a leader for kids versus just doing the jokes and videos online. People might say, you know what? I want to become an excellent boxer. The guy is obsessed with excellence. And he wants to be Mike Tyson as a boxer, in his weight class.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just thanks for that. I mean, I was super excited to talk to you because something you said in one of your seminars last night was like, you're here to work on your business. Your business is going to fail. If you're here to work on yourself, then I'm going to help you with your business. And so I strive to be pretty reflective on myself. Like, where am I? And this was very good timing for me because the complexity of raising 7 kids. And then I have now 4 teenagers. Like they're all hitting that teenage thing. So like their lives are getting exponentially busier, which it's like, okay, I'm definitely noticing some new rules, and not rules on them, but like rules, like I need to start operating out of a different set of structures, because what's currently happening for my own personal serotonin, like my own, like I feel like I'm not doing enough of too much. And so I that's something where I think, that's something that this was just great time for me. So I'm gonna do call to action with you. And I have a feeling you're going to intervene on something right here.
You're going to love it. You just said something super cool. We got to accept, I say this all the time, we got to accept the power of our own influence in our kids' lives. Either we're going to be an influence or they're going to be an influence. So if you are an influence in your kids' lives because you feed them, this is no different than training a dog. You're feeding them and you're housing them. You're an influence in their life at some level, even if they don't respect you. You're an influence in their life. The question is, are you going to be an influence that 20 years down the road, they might even not be getting along with you right now. They might even like you right now, your kids. For all intents and purposes, teenagers force themselves to be jerks sometimes so they can so you basically throw them out so they can be on their own. It's no different than when someone's dying at the end of life. They become so difficult to work with that afterwards it's okay to say goodbye, right? So kids are a pain in the neck sometimes so they can leave and feel okay they left. That's just one way of doing it. But you're not just raising kids. You've got an opportunity to influence kids. Wow. And maybe not all their activity, but it might kick in 30 years from now where it's something you did with your wife, the date nights you went on, the fact that you did podcasts, the facts that you were consistent, the way you showed them how to do forks and knives at the table. Who knows? But if we can reflect and stop being parents and be influencers of children, we can reshape all of this.
I love it. All right, everybody. Hey, go to calltoactionnow.com to jump on Michael. And is that with a 2 or is it TO?
Yeah, 2 or TO, no matter how you spell it. Okay. Don't go to Google, put it right in the browser. Right now, as you watch this, I'll leave it up for a period of time. It's half price for you. And it's got 2 bonuses, one on confidence, one on influence. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I love it. Well, hey, brother, love you. Appreciate you. And keep being amazing.
You too. This was an honor, man. I was looking forward to this for like 2 weeks. I'm like, I can't wait to get on this. So thank you for bringing me on.
This will be part 1 of many more.
Yeah, we'll do this again.
All right, bud.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Ed again. Hey, one last thing before you leave. First, I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show. If you love this show or this episode and know someone who can benefit, please copy it and share it with them. Also, if you can do me a favor and leave a quick review wherever you listen to these podcasts the most, whether it's Apple, Spotify, etc., it really will help us get the message out to more people. That's it. Thanks again, and make it a great day.